Back it up, Mozo, hunt you down. Hello, friends and fellow VEDSies, and welcome back to VEODS, where I vlog every other day in September. In my last video, I left you off on the question of creativity why, encouraging people to hop on either the VEDS or the VEODS project or any variation that they would want, with kind of this encouragement of creativity, and then asking why be creative, which is a fraught question, I think. I don't think that necessarily the justification for creating something is necessary. I don't think you have to go through something and kind of like backdate the creation and make it matter because of some intention beforehand. But I do think that it serves as kind of a motivator to explore why we want to create things, why we should take time out of our days from work, relaxation, social lives, to do whatever type of project we want to do. And as I kind of raised the question to myself, it reminded me of a comic strip that I've read recently, The Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost by John Hendricks is a comic strip about the Holy Ghost, the third member of the Trinity, in Christian theology, the George Harrison of the triune God. I'm not a theologian, I'm not going to explain it. My earring! There we go. It's more or less an observational comic with kind of the Holy Ghost floating around and having conversations with this squirrel who's like a stand-in for someone with doubts or worries or anxiety, and a badger who's like dogmatic and way too confident of themselves, and kind of like the two different sides of a personality. And then you have like the observational humor that comes in. I'll be honest, it's not my favorite comic strip. It's fine. I don't actually want to review it. I just want to talk about one of the individual strips that did actually kind of break from the mold and engage me a little bit. So the comic begins with the Holy Ghost floating up to the squirrel, who's made all these different drawings standing at an easel. And in the drawings, you can see references to like the Titanic, Lord of the Rings, all this different stuff. And the Holy Ghost is complimentary. He's like, I love your artwork. But the squirrel goes, no, I hate it all. All these works may be well crafted, but they're derivative, they're fraudulent. I have okay ideas, but they don't say anything. And the Holy Ghost is like, well, why do you make it then? And the squirrel pauses and they think for a minute, and then they go, well, I guess making them and hating them is slightly worse than not making them at all. And then there's kind of the religious punchline that the Holy Ghost makes where he goes, incarnation is rough. But it did stick out to me because there is something very frustrating sometimes about the creative process. There is satisfaction in it. It's a fun thing to wrestle with, but I'm not going to lie and say that I love making stuff all the time. I've put off making this video for a while because of different reasons, some of them pretty valid, some of them, I was procrastinating on, but there's a drive to make them. I've talked before about how I don't like most of the videos I make, which is true. The other truth there is that it's like, well, I like them enough to put them up. I've also made videos that I hated so much that I never put them up. There is something there where it's like, well, I may not have liked the end product. It may not have been the perfect idea that I had at the beginning. Like in this video, I feel like I'm rambling too much. I feel like I'm not making sense. That's obviously in my head. I had a much more coherent idea of the video, but I want to put it out. I want to have made something. The creative process has an endpoint for a reason. I want to have that satisfaction of a video uploaded, of a job done, because there is a completion in there. There is a satisfaction in that. And so creativity, why? Why create something? And there's a myriad different factors and motivations and situations that are unique and specific to different people. And I would be foolish if I tried to list half of them, let alone all of them. But I do think that whether by nature or nurture, there are some people who choose this hobby of creativity, of art, in any sort of form. And even if they're not satisfied with the process or the product, there is a satisfaction in the ability to get past your own standard and put something out. The kind of religious joke at the end, the incarnation, is an interesting one. I offhandedly dismissed earlier, but I do think it's interesting because in incarnation there is a there's an idea of you let go of a piece of yourself and you let it out into the world and it becomes something else. Along with incarnation, there's a transcendence for when it reaches other people. I think you can make art for yourself. I think you should make art for yourself. I think you should make art that no one else sees. But I also think there's a lot of value in giving up part of your art, incarnating a part of yourself into a creative work and passing that off to someone else. And then whatever experience they have makes it kind of transcend whatever form you were able to get it. So, creativity, why? I don't know. I guess because it's a little bit better than not being creative. In this video, I talked about a comic strip I don't like, but if you join me in the next video, which comes out in 2 days, then I will talk about a comic I do like that's kind of leftover from the original theme that I was planning for this year's VEDS. So that's exciting. Until then, friends and fellow VEDSies, I'll see you tomorrow.